This video is brought to you by catbeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and today we're going to be talking about the best Zoom Freak model. So Giannis Antetokounmpo has had his signature shoe with Nike, and we have 4 of them right now. Right? So from the Zoom Freak 1, you guys remember the Zoom Freak 1, it released June 28th of 2019 for 120 bucks. So pretty damn cheap. I mean, Nike for their first signature shoe usually gives us like a budget, like cheaper shoe, you know what I mean? And then of course the Zoom Freak 2 debuted on July 25th of 2020 for 130 bucks. They raised the price by 10 bucks. But the price of the Zoom Freak model has been relatively the same since its first shoe, right? And then of course we have the Zoom Freak 3, which did debut July 9th of 2021 for 120 bucks. And then the Zoom Freak 4, his most recent model, came out September 15th of 2022 for around 130, 135 bucks depending on the colorway. So I guess it's good that, you know, he's kept his signature shoe around the same exact price. If you guys do want to cop the Zoom Freak 4, it is available now, especially in the mint colorway, which I really like. Links will be in the description box, but also Zoom Freak 3 is on crazy sale because it is an older shoe. So affiliate links will be in the description box, but I'm going to do this comparison video categorically, right? So what has the best traction, cushion, what has the best fit, what's the lightest, what's the heaviest, right? But yeah, let's get it started off with the tracciones. And of course, this is all just my opinion and of course my experiences in each different shoe. But the worst, let's start off with the worst. That would have to be the Zoom Freak 1. The Zoom Freak 1 was terrible. I have 2 colorways of it. I have this black colorway, and also I have the first colorway that came out with the orange one. And I could just never get a good bite. You know, I mean, it has a pretty okay bite on a clean core, but on dust is absolutely horrendous, right? So yeah, the Zoom Freak 1 was terrible. And also like the orange colorway was like a translucent, right? Like this, like some parts of it was translucent. And also in this colorway, we have a solid black rubber outsole, right? I got this because I really like how it looks, but performance wise, I just never really played in the Zoom Freak 1. Never really enjoyed it all too much, right? Next, I would actually say is a Zoom Freak 3. It's a pretty okay bite. Like, you do have to break it in as well. It's definitely not top tier though. And also it's a pretty silent shoe as well. I mean, once you break it in, it starts to squeak a lot more, but it's still like not as squeaky as, you know, really squeaky shoes, right? And also durability is really bad because the grooves are super thin. The rubber's like on the softer side of things. Next, I would actually say the Zoom Freak 4. You know, once you break it in, it actually gets pretty damn good. Solid bite. Not top tier though, but I really didn't mind it all too much. And then here, of course, the last shoe left is the Zoom Freak 2, and the Zoom Freak 2 is really nice. It has an amazing bite, and yeah, just from my experience, the Zoom Freak 2 for me like had the best bite. It bit through dust as well. Like performance on dust was definitely the best, which is weird because it has this like interesting nub traction pattern, right? You wouldn't think it would be good, but that's actually pretty damn nice. So the best for traction is the 2, and then the 4, and then the 3, right? And then the worst is definitely the 1. Alright, moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning has never really been amazing in the Zoom Freak line, but the best in my opinion is the Zoom Freak 4, right? So they're using full length premium cushion is what Nike's calling, which is kind of weird, but it's so damn soft here in the heel. We have a nice compression. We have a little bit of rebound back as well, especially for heel to toe transition. And then here in the forefoot, of course, we got the dual pods, right? It's bottom loaded. You get a nice trampoline bounce effect. So yeah, the Zoom Freak 4 definitely is the best in my personal opinion. It's definitely an upgrade from the 3 because it has a lot more compression here in the heel, and also the zoom units are a little bit easier to feel. Here in the Zoom Freak 3, of course, if you want something a little bit mellower than the 4, then the 3 is a great option. Here in the heel, you have a little bit of compression. Nothing crazy, but it's definitely a lot more than the 1 and 2. And of course, we have the same exact pretty much zoom units here in the forefoot, but it is a lot less caged, right? Like here on the medial side as well. If you look at the Zoom Freak 4, it's fully exposed as far as the zoom units go, right? So there's that. And then next we got the Zoom Freak 2. I mean, as far as the foam goes, especially here in the heel, it's super stiff, but there is a forefoot zoom unit which feels all right? And then the worst is Zoom Freak 1. The Zoom Freak 1 is absolutely terrible. Like this foam reminds me a lot of like old school Kyrie's with the really stiff phylon. You guys remember that? And then we have a double stack zoom unit here in the heel, if you guys remember, right? But it's this rectangular shape. So you couldn't really feel the zoom units all too much. It was really terrible actually. So it's actually good to see that, you know, the cushioning setup's been improving every year, right? So worst is 1, and then the 2, and then the 3, and then the 4, right? So there is the cushion there. Moving on to the materials. So the worst material in my personal opinion is definitely the Zoom Freak 1 with this kind of like hyperfuse like mesh material. It feels cheap, it looks cheap, it's flimsy, it doesn't feel amazing on foot either. So yeah, I mean, there's the Zoom Freak 1. But I guess the good thing though is the tongue. The tongue is super large, a very large tongue, and it's very plush, which I like. And they kind of kept that same thing with the plush tongue, you know, throughout his entire line. So I guess Giannis just likes a thicker tongue, right? And then the next I would say is the Zoom Freak 4. Which sucks because this is the most recent model, but yeah, this mesh material definitely feels a lot softer and thinner, and it conforms to your foot a lot better than the Zoom Freak 1, right? But it's still like, if you look at it and if you feel it, it definitely feels flimsy and looks cheap, so that's why I'm putting it like third. And then next we got the Zoom Freak 3. I actually like this textile material. It's really thin. It's actually the thinnest, right, out of all of his shoes, but also it conforms to your foot, but it's also the least supportive. There is a little bit of stretch to this material as well. And then in my personal opinion, the best is the Zoom Freak 2 with this textile, right? So it's not as thin as the 3, but it's still pretty thin. But it's also really comfortable. It feels actually really nice in hand and also on foot. Conforms to your foot really well too. And it looks nice and it feels nice, right? So yeah, the Zoom Freak 2 is the best material quality in my personal opinion. And now moving on to the fit. The fit has been very similar. You know, I mean, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo's foot, and I don't think his foot shape has changed. So it's really similar as far as the fit goes. I mean, the 3 and the 4 are pretty much identical for the fit, right? But the Zoom Freak 1, I guess I forgot how freaking snug this shoe fits, but I just tried it on and it's really snug. Like width-wise, here in the toe box, length-wise, really snug, especially comparing it to the 3 and the 4, right? So yeah, honestly though, I would actually say I like the fits in the 3 and the 4 the best, because I mean, I like a really snug fit, right? But the Zoom Freak 1 is just a little too snug, and then the 3 and the 4, it's still a snug fit, but just like it fits my foot like a glove, but doesn't like squeeze it, you know what I mean? And also the 2 is actually like in between like the 3 and the 4 and the 1. So the 2 still fits me pretty damn nice. So but overall, very similar in fits for all of his shoes, and also for support and lockdown. I mean, for lateral containment, there's always something crazy as far as a lateral counter goes in his shoes, right? I mean, if you're making a shoe for Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's a big ass dude, especially with the Euro steps. You need really good lateral containment for that. So if you're designing a shoe for him, that's probably like one of the like top things that you would look for. And you know, like the Zoom Freak 1, we have this rubber coming out, we have the crazy swoosh, right? Same thing here for the 4, very similar in design, right? And then of course here in the 3 we have a lot of lateral counters, and also here in the 2, remember the plastic pieces, right? So I would tie it up for lateral containment and support. All right, as far as the weight goes, I feel like the Zoom Freak 1 is gonna be the lightest just because it has the least amount of tech, right? So yeah, so 10.9 ounces. Let's check the 2. The 2 is coming in at 11.53 ounces. I feel like the Zoom Freak 4 is a little bit lighter than that. 11.01, right? So that's a little bit lighter. And I feel like the Zoom Freak 3 might be the heaviest because of strap, right? So 11.82 ounces. So the lightest is the 1, and then the 4, and then the 2, and then the 3. So I mean the Zoom Freak 3 is still super light, but that's just, you know, in numbers. But definitely the Zoom Freak 1 you feel the slowest in because the traction was just not amazing, right? So there is the weight there. All right, moving on to the aesthetics. Ooh, that's a tough one, but I'd actually have to say I don't know. I think I like the 2 the best. But definitely the 4 is growing on me a lot, guys. The 4, I really like the swoosh design here in the middle of the shoe. And also the Zoom Freak 1, of course. I mean, it looked amazing. Performance was not good, in my personal opinion. I didn't like playing in the 1, but it looked really nice, especially with this really large swoosh, right? But I feel like I like the swoosh here in the middle of the shoe a little bit better, right? It definitely grew on me a lot. So I'd have to say the 2, and then the 4, and then the 1, and then the 3. The 3 is definitely my least favorite. So tell us your order. Like, what's your favorite looking Zoom Freak? You know, from 1 to 4. But as far as the overall performance goes, I would actually have to say the 4 is my favorite. The 4 is definitely my favorite, and then the 2, right? And then the 3, and then I just never really want to play the 1. So, so there's my comparison of the Zoom Freak line. Of course, that's just from my experiences and also my preferences and opinion. So tell us what your favorite Zoom Freak is as far as performance goes down in the comment section below. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.